All right. Hello everyone. I'm Harsh Kumar and today we are going to review the famous workshop scene from Iron Man 2 which was at the start of the movie, and we will see that how Jarvis infection was so advanced than the current system we are witnessing, watching. So without further ado, let's start.
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Okay, now this is very interesting because Tony is not turning on Jarvis by saying that wake up, daddy is home. Instead of that, he is clapping. He is making a double clap, and we can see that Jarvis is loading everything even before Tony said wake up, daddy is home. So this clapping activation that actually exists in current day in from 1980s. We can turn on bulbs, we can turn on different computers by just clapping, and in labs even before 1980s it was existing. So this is something we can do right now.
Welcome home, sir. Congratulations on the opening ceremonies. They were such a success, as was your Senate hearing. And may I say how refreshing it is to finally see you in a video with your clothing on.
Now this is actually interesting because it shows that Jarvis is always learning while Tony is busy doing his business, he's traveling, and he is able to crack jokes because Jarvis is able to see Tony finally in his clothing. So let's see. And even the chart, the stock market chart is was it was showing, it was also presenting that Jarvis is actually watching over Tony's business while he is away.
Sir.
You! Swear to God, I'll dismantle you, I'll soak your motherboard, I'll turn you into a wine rack. Yeah.
Now this scene where Tony was actually talking with Jarvis, but something happened. So his other machine, his other robot was done something. He basically started talking with that robot, and Jarvis understood that okay, in this conversation Jarvis is not included, so he didn't even reply to that. And for this you need basically Jarvis needs to understand the context of the conversation, that while if we are like in Amazon Alexa, in Siri we have to give activation command like Alexa or okay Google, or in even in Siri we have to say Siri. And here Jarvis, it shows that Jarvis doesn't need activation command, it just knows that when a user is talking to him, about him, or with someone else.
Ounces a day of this gobbledygook am I supposed to drink?
Now, this is also very interesting because he just said that how many ounces of the day, how many ounce a day he have to drink that goobly douche. And the thing is, this word doesn't exist. This does word doesn't mean anything. So basically,
We are up to 80 ounces a day to counteract the symptoms, sir.
now here it comes becomes more interesting because Jarvis is replying to Tony, means he's understanding what that word means even though it doesn't exist in the dictionary. So it actually understands that okay, Tony said this, Tony said gobbly douche, and he he is referring to that drink which Tony is consuming. And in reality, in natural language processing we call it word masking. We as human we do it in our conversation all the time, but in generating this kind of output in machine, even in today's current systems, is kind of complicated. So it actually shows that okay, now Jarvis is actually advanced. He is able to mask those words and understand those meanings, the context behind it. But let's
Check palladium levels.
okay. So now here Tony is using some half cooked blood toxicity level monitor, maybe, or yeah, it's a half-cooked medical device to judge your blood toxicity.
Blood toxicity, 24%.
And somehow Jarvis is connected to that device. Means either it could be in today's system, it could be through Wi-Fi, through Bluetooth, through radio frequencies. We can connect a simple microprocessor, like simple Arduino or microprocessor based devices, these modern devices, to our advanced computers. So it's basically, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
It appears that the continued use of the Iron Man suit is accelerating your
And look at this. Now Jarvis received that data, and he is basically calculating, he is actually simulating everything in front of Tony, that what kind of effect it is like it's having on his body. And if we consider this, even in today's world, making a simulation this complex, it is pretty much hard. We are obviously we are able to make simulation using AI. We are able to simulate robots, we are even able to simulate protein structures, and we are using AI in medicine simulations. But simulating the entire effect on a human body, it's kind of complicated. So yeah, and just look at the user interface, like all those windows, and all those windows are resizing themselves, and they are rearranging themselves on its own. Although, like, this kind of user interface in real life can be very confusing for a normal user, but it clearly shows that, okay, what kind of data I need to show to my user, I need to show to Tony. And he's Jarvis. Basically, Jarvis is uh, deciding on its own that what needs to be shown to the user. And here is an important point I notice, that after Tony took the blood toxicity level, Jarvis took a pause. He basically took a pause and went away. He processed, and then it came to the screen and presented everything. We presented a simulation.
condition. Another core has been depleted.
Now, this is interesting because Jarvis might not be connected with arc reactor, that is a very high power device shown in Iron Man movies. It is generating like 6 7 gigajoules, which is also very high amount of energy. It's like a bomb. But it's I believe, based on the blood toxicity level, it is actually predicting that, okay, the blood toxicity have increased so much. So it is basically predicting that palladium core must be depleted based on the blood toxicity level Tony have.
God, they're running out quick.
I have run simulations on every known element.
Now here is the thing. Jarvis ignored Tony. Basically, Tony said that, okay, these are running quick, these are depleting very quickly. But Jarvis already know that, okay, I have said the same thing. So he basically moved on another level. And again, Jarvis is saying that he have run a lot of simulation, and simulation is something I have mentioned before in the conversation, that we are making simulation using AI with mechanical design, with robotics, with protein structure. So this is something which is quite achievable in more current time.
And none can serve as a viable replacement for the palladium core. You are running out of both time and options.
Now, this is also interesting because Jarvis is actually predicting that how quickly Tony's health is depleting because of that reactor. And based on simulations, he is actually uh, advising Tony that he is running out of time and options.
Unfortunately, the device that's keeping you alive is also killing you.
This is a very personal comment that the device is actually killing him, but it's kind of a philosophical statement also. It's also a philosophical Jarvis, like we can achieve this kind of statement using the transformer models like ChatGPT and GPT 3.5. These are actually able to make conversation like this.
Miss Potts is approaching. I recommend that you inform her
Mute.
of...
Now this is interesting because when Tony said mute, Jarvis turned off the the Jarvis turned off his voice and the music, but we can still hear what when Pepper is pressing those buttons, and we can hear that sound effect. Means it is kind of a contextual command. Means Jarvis understands what mute means. So he is turning off the music, he is turning off his voice, but he is not turning off the background effects.
Is this a joke?
Now here it's the basically the end of the entire scene.
What are you thinking?
What?
What are you thinking?
Hey, I'm thinking I'm busy and you're angry about something. Do you have
Now
the sniffles? I don't want to.
now this is very interesting because Jarvis is not just assisting Tony, he's also monitoring Pepper all the time. And he basically told Tony that okay, Pepper is coming, and they were having a very personal, like a very private conversation about Tony's health. So Jarvis warned him, and now Jarvis is basically keeping a secret from Pepper. So basically, this system is understanding that okay, Tony is not telling something to Pepper, and I also need to keep it a secret. I don't need to tell it to Pepper. So it's kind of understanding that what's public information or what's related to a private, what's my private information. And we can do that in simple ways. We can do that in computer systems with basically classifying our data into two separate folders, public and private. But even that this system is understanding means is this system is able to understand the context of the conversation. This system is able to understand that what needs to be said at what point. This system is basically even ignoring its user. At some point this system is using word masking, basically using it can be used to crack slangs and jokes. So this thing is quite achievable. But and I want to make another video based on that user interface, because that I don't think that is a random user interface. People have put a lot of brain behind it, but the video will become very long. So without making any further, without delaying the video any further, let's end the video from now, and make sure to subscribe. I will be coming up with more videos